like about her from the very first time I saw her was she stays on her feet. There's defenders out there that think going to the floor makes them a better defender. I'm not a big believer in that. I think if we can stay on our feet, we have more control, we have more range. I want to go to the floor the very last thing. That's the emergency. That's the end point. If we can get there on our feet, that's better. So increasing that range is huge. When it comes to and you can really frustrate other teams and make them change things they do. So I love defense, and I love defensive players. Kids that just want to play great defense. So let's talk a little bit about that. I'm going to have Lauren come out and bar you. Do you mind going to the floor without knee pads? You okay with that? Yeah, I don't want to ruin your pants or anything. But so first thing I want to talk about is attitude. Like I picked Lauren just from watching this. I thought she has a great defensive attitude, a great defensive mentality. I think that's the number one thing. So we talk a lot about that attitude. So I want you to get this ball, okay? Okay. So she didn't get it. That's okay. I want you to get this ball. Good job. I want you to get this ball. Okay, so what I'm trying to make a point here is that Lauren right now is making decisions. They're good decisions. They're making good decisions. She decided, hey, this ball I can go get. That ball, I'm not getting that ball. And that ball, I'm not getting that ball. And she's probably right. But my question to Lauren is, where do you draw the line? When do you decide that's a ball I can't get, and maybe, just maybe, it was a ball you could get? And I don't know where that line is. So we talk to our players all the time about, I want you to let the ball decide. If this ball decides you can't get it, I'm never going to have a problem with you. I'm cool with that. But at any point you decide you can't get it, now I don't know. And every one of those unbelievable defensive plays that ends up on SportsCenter or ends up on some highlight reel, that was somebody not making a decision. Because if they made a decision, they probably would have never gotten that ball. So now we go, here, go get that ball. Awesome. She not only got that ball, she got that ball on her feet, and she ran somebody over. But that's awesome. Get this ball. You know what? And that's when I'm going to go, sweet, no problem. You made every effort possible. The ball decided, no big deal. And I'm not a big token dive person. I was watching it. I was in Colorado recruiting yesterday, and there was a team that, team got aced, and everybody in different directions dove to hit the floor. And I'm kind of scratching my head going, is that really making them better volleyball players? I'm not convinced it is. It's just kind of a punitive thing. I'd rather see them dive on the first ball than do it on the other ones. And so, to me, we just talk a lot about decisions. And if somebody makes a decision in our gym and pulls up on a ball, and I see it, sorry, now I have got her on the, she is clenched and ready to go, which is, again, not a bad thing. Because if I do this, she's going to go get it. I like that. But if they make decisions, and the biggest place it happens is pepper. How many of you guys have your team play pepper? Seems to be there's a movement out there of coaches that are trying to outlaw pepper or something because it's not game-like. It's not, you know what? I think pepper's awesome. I think it's great. But to me, I want our players to play pepper a certain way. I want them to play pepper where it's going to translate into the game. So when we play pepper, we always have our players from 10-foot line to end line in this spacing. So if I get pulled over here to set a ball, I'm going to come back and I'm going to create this 20-foot spacing. Because I think 20 feet is pretty realistic. If we're hitting a ball at the net and I'm digging a ball down the line, that's about 20 feet away. And so I want to get used to this. When I see players play pepper and they're like this far apart, that's not very realistic. And if I hit a ball very hard, you're not going to be able to dig it anyway. So we try and keep spacing. But the other is effort. Like, we're in a big gym like this, and you and I are playing pepper. Before we get technique, let's talk about target. Defensively, I want my target to be middle of the court, 5 to 8, maybe even 10 feet off the net is fine, and high. We're in defense. Our goal in defense is not to dig the ball. Our goal in defense is score. So we've got to dig a ball that turns into something. Hopefully turns into a kill. Dig the kill. That's what our players are always thinking about. So target, high, middle of court. If we dig it tight, this ideal perfect pass right here at the net, well, if my setter's coming from right back and I ask her to play defense, she's going to stay home, she's going to have a hard time setting this ball. So let's keep it off the net. Let's make sure we get swings. We can still get a middle swing from here, but I certainly can get a great pin, outside or right side swing from here, and that's really important. Okay, so that's our target zone. Defensively, let's talk about technique. So I want her to be wide base. Go ahead and show me your defensive posture. This is good. So she's got a wide base, Her knees are over her toes, like we talked about passing. She's a little lower than passing. I like that. Shoulders are in front of her knees, so there's a forward motion. Love the fact that she's got both hands out in front, over both knees, and her palms are up. I think this is a great position to make a quick move on a lot of balls in a lot of range. So this is great stuff. The other thing is Lauren's really strong because she's stayed in this position for a long time. So if I keep talking, let's see how long she can last before she just falls down. But this is great. You can stand up. We want our defenders to have great lower body strength to be able to hold that posture as long as possible. That, to me, is a great position to be able to change directions and move. Second thing with posture is it's really important that she's stopped when the ball's hit. Even if you're in the wrong spot, be stopped when the ball's contact. If you're stopped, you can make moves. You can make reactions in every direction. If you're moving, you're only going to react in the one direction you're moving in. So you might look like a genius 10% of the time. I want you to look really good 100% of the time. So be stopped, ready to explode. From here, again, as we talked before, her hands are going to meet the ball. So defensive posture. I like this position rather than having her hands together. I think this is a slow way to move to the ball versus if she's apart, she's going to meet the ball. So if a ball's hit here fast, she's meeting here. If a ball's hit here fast, she's meeting there. Ball's hit here, she's meeting there. Ball's out in front, she's meeting there. So her hands are going to meet to the ball. I also think it's important that her first reaction is not with her hands. I want her first reaction to be with her feet. Again, we talked about setters, good feet. Ball's hit to this side. I want her stepping, getting her hips behind the ball, and ideally her hips below the ball, and her hands meet at the ball. Same thing this direction, step, driving her hips underneath it. Okay, so feet are first. If you got diggers, defenders that just reach for balls here, their range is right there. Versus Lauren's range is going to be a lot bigger because she's moving her feet behind the ball. I'm also not the smartest guy in the world, but I do think that if I get my body behind the ball, my player's body behind the ball, it's probably going to go forward, not backwards. If they reach outside their body, there's a chance that ball goes forward, but there's a probably equally chance that ball goes behind them. We tend to not be a sport that wants to have to takes 2 strides forward, she steps into it, and then she sets her feet. Again, I used to teach that. A lot of people teach it. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just not how I teach it now. I want our players to be as limited with their motion as possible. And a lot of that's based on what our opponents do. The game is getting faster and faster and faster. 10 years ago, nobody set a go set. But now everybody's setting a go set. Nobody ran a bick, a quick back row attack. Everybody's running a bick now. If our defenders are moving a lot, have a lot of motion, they tend to not be stopped at contact. So we're trying to limit that motion. So what I would challenge you to do is, I just want you to be stopped. I want you to be base position. You don't need to hop. Just be. I use the term, I want all of your weight pushing into the floor through the balls of your feet. So I want you to feel heavy. You're loaded, and then you can move from there. So stopped. Go ahead. Good. I like the fact she's to the ball. Good. That time she ended up crossing over. She didn't get a good step. Okay, so this is good for her just to get repetition, for us to work on technique. I might do this in a situation. We do this a lot in our gym where we have partners. It's her feet and the first step with her feet. Perfect. Good. So we had a libero a few years ago, Tiffany Morales. If you ever saw Tiffany play. Her junior year, she had shoulder surgery, and she couldn't do any volleyball for 6 months as she was recovering surgery. We did a ton of drills like this, where she would just work on her feet. She got so good with her feet because it's what we could work on. She was in a sling the whole time. In drills, serve-receive drills, I would see Tiffany stand. If you're passing here, I would see Tiffany standing behind the drill, arm in a sling. As soon as ball serve, she's doing that. And all she was working on was her eyes, reading the serve, and her body moving the serve. Tiffany had great feet by the end of that 6 months, where she could have been sitting over at the side, doing nothing, riding the bike, whatever. Feet are important.